Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This right here is a Roswill Cullinan MX, and it's probably my new favorite sub $60 case. The sub $60 case market has been really great lately with lots of good options that feel premium, have decent build quality, and have great RGB under 60 bucks. This case right here has tempered glass on three sides with some still pretty decent airflow for the front three fans and mesh on the top like there always is, and has some pretty great RGB. At just the 52 bucks I paid for it, this case has 4 included RGB fans with this like whatever 20 key remote. I haven't counted yet, but it's like 20-ish key remote with all the colors you'd expect and some pretty decent effects. So with this case being like, I guess like gaming oriented case, it's gotta have some good RGB. The RGB is controlled by this remote. It has 17 keys, and so basically first one here, on. It just turns the RGB on. The next one, off, if you hate RGB for some reason. Then I guess the on, turn it back on. These up and down arrows, when you're on a solid color, control your brightness. And when you're just on like when you're on a mode that changes colors, it controls your speed. Or maybe it doesn't. When you're on a mode that changes colors, it doesn't really seem to do anything. Going through the colors, you got red, whatever that is, orangish, normal blue, weird yellow, purple, green, and white. And then you can make any color do the thing where it fades in and out with this button up here. Next for your effects, you got rainbow, puke. I don't know. If someone actually uses this, let me know down in the comments. I've never seen anyone use this. And you also got gradients, the best effect, blade, which is pretty cool. I don't know, it's kind of distracting when you're gaming, but it looks cool if you just want to look at your PC for some reason. And then you've got just your standard breathe effect, which is like gradient but slightly faster. Alright, now looking at the exterior of the case. First up here, you have your fan switch. Every cheap case has to have this because they're too cheap to like make it run off a fan header or something. You have the great modes of low, which looks pretty decent and is silent, off, because I've always wanted to turn my fans off. That's so useful. It looks a lot worse than low. It honestly just looks way better to have the fans moving, and it really isn't any quieter. And then, like any cheap case that has not very powerful fans, I always just leave them on high because they're not very loud, and I don't know. If you actually use this fan switch, why? Next up, you just have your pretty standard front I/O for a case at this price point. Your mic and headphone, power button, power LED combo, reset button hard drive LED combo, and then 2 USB 3s and a USB 2. This front I/O, it looks like it's on the front left panel, but it's actually separate, so you don't have obnoxious cords just going all over the place when you pull off your front panel. Now looking over on the back side of the case, we have, depending on who you ask, either a big upside or a big downside of this case. This case has glass on 3 sides, meaning everyone can see your cable management. If you're like me and you flip PCs and you don't really love spending a ton of time doing cable management, you'll probably hate this. I spend about 3 times as long on cable management as I do on most PCs, and I mean it looks decent, but even if your cables were perfect, I wouldn't want to see them. So, I don't know. I've never really liked these glass side panels on the back, but if you like them, then this is one of the cheapest cases you can get that has it. Alright, so because on the fan mounting up here, there's just so many, places to put fans and stuff, I got pretty confused what this all supposedly supports. I just looked up the Amazon product listing, and apparently on the top it supports 120 or 140, it'll support two of those. On the front, you get your three pre-installed 120 mil RGB fans and your one pre-installed one on the back. And then it actually doesn't show us on the Amazon listing, but on the side here to blow air from nowhere to nowhere, you can install up to three 92 millimeter fans. And yeah, that's really about it for fan mounts. These front fans, for a glass front panel case, have pretty good airflow with these big slots on both sides, and there is definitely plenty of air being pulled through those fans, as I guess I'll show later. Alright, so I don't know a great way to show airflow, but here we just have a piece of paper taped to the back of the fans, and I'm just gonna turn the fans on the less slow speed and just see how much it kind of blows that piece of paper. So yeah, I don't know. I think that means it has decent airflow. I don't really know why I even did this, but I think that means it has decent airflow. And just to do that, and then that versus the fans on low. So here's what the fans look like on low speed. It's putting it out about that much. If you put them up to high, you can see it has a lot more airflow. Anyways, these fans have pretty decent airflow, and I mean, for this price, getting 4 fans that have okay airflow and sound okay is pretty good. Alright, looking at the inside of the case, it really just looks like any other, I guess, mid-range-ish case. You just gotta have your flat motherboard panel with your cable management pass-throughs right here. A few things to note, the cables for the front I/O, if you're using a micro ATX board, are not long enough to route through those cutouts down there where you would normally route them. They do fit very well though if you're using a full-size board. For your CPU 24 pin, there's plenty of room to route that through there along with all your SATA cables, and then using a micro ATX board, your front I/O also goes through that cutout. Up here out on the top we have this cutout right here where I routed the 8-pin through. You could also put it through, kind of do have that cutout right there where they pre-routed the fan cable through, but I just I just I just usually put the 8-pin through there, so that's what I did this time. Other than that, cable management is very easy in this case. If you're using a GPU in your build, you would have plenty of room to route that cables through here. I did do an APU build here just because I'm kind of out of GPUs, but really any decent size, really any GPU would fit easily in here. According to the marketing material for this case, it'll fit up to a 330 millimeter long GPU, and we have 170 millimeters of CPU clearance. This has no issue fitting any stock cooler, obviously, because it's a full height case, and I don't have any tower coolers to try fit in here right now, but you do have definitely a good amount of clearance. Looking around the back of the case, you do get some pretty cool stuff. Down here, you just have a normal power supply mount, and then you do actually get a vertical GPU mount in this case. It is very close to the edge. There's like pretty much no space in between where your GPU and the edge would be. So if you have a GPU that really goes over 2 slots at all, it won't fit, and you won't have very good airflow. So honestly, I wouldn't really recommend using this vertical GPU mount, but it is nice that they did include it. You do have your standard just PCIe slot cover thingies. They do screw on, which is good to see at a case at this price point, and then they also just have this slidey retention bracket thing that you see a lot. And then you just have your normal IO shield and 120 or 140 mil fan mount at the back. It is nice to see a 140 mil, but mine does come with a stock 120 mil. But I guess you could, if you did want to put a 140 millimeter fan up there, you could pretty easily just fit the stock rear fan either on the top or, well, the different part of the top. The glass on the back is very tinted, so you can't see any of the cables on like most of the right two-thirds. Sorry, it's just reflecting, but you can't see the cables where like kind of all those random cutouts are over on the front here. That does let enough light in just those cutouts to make it so that you can see where you have like your 24 pin and all the stuff from the front panel routed. It does look pretty cool in these cases when you put an RGB strip back here, but then your cable management has to be really good, which, yeah, I don't think that's happening. So basically, all you can see in this build is like those two RGB LEDs on the back of the motherboard, and just some random cables there. But yeah, I don't like the glass. If you do, I mean that could be a selling point, but I'm kind of willing to look over that negative at this case being under 60 bucks with those four RGB fans, and people seem to really like cases with these aesthetics. Alright, now looking around the back of the case for cable management, the front panel did come, like the front panel headers did come pre-routed, which is a nice touch, and they did use these pretty nice Velcro cable ties. It included a decent amount of zip ties, which made cable management, that would make it a lot easier if you didn't have any zip ties to use for yourself. You do get you get two 2.5-inch drive bays. They just have a thumb screw there, and they just screw on with your normal screws there. And then you do get two hard drive bays. My cable management is going to be pretty hard to get these guys out, but you get two of these just drive bays that are toolless. Pretty simple design. It's hard to do with one hand, but just you just basically push this little latch right here up, and then they slide open a tiny bit, pop your drive in, snap it closed, and then they just slide back in. Pretty decent drive mounting system. Can't really complain about it at this price. And I guess really the only downside is there's a huge mass of cables right there, but there's really no other place that they could have put the drive bay. This like black box right here is the RGB controller. Sadly, it cannot be connected to the motherboard, and the only way to control it is with your remote. So it is nice that they do give this remote instead of just a normal button. So if you're using a case that does not have like a, I'm sorry, if you're using a motherboard that does not have a RGB header, this makes it a lot better to control than like those DIY PC cases where you're cycling through like 2 million effects with one button. The fans do use a semi-proprietary connector. It's just this it's a 6-pin connector. Only 5 of the pins are actually used for these fans. It's not really very standard, but it's the same fan connector that my Cinema Tank RGB uses. So I guess this isn't really the only case that uses it, but it's pretty hard to find fans with this connector on it. And this fan hub, unlike my Cinema Tank RGB, or I've seen a few other cases with these fan connectors, this fan hub does not have any just standard RGB connectors on it. If that actually shows up. Other than that, RGB on this case looks great, and it works good. This remote, I'm just going to quick boot up this PC to show how well the remote works. The RGB for this case does work pretty good right now. I'll just put it like so it changes. Big deal. Right now we're standing on like what is it, like 10-15 foot away from it. Have the remote right here. It's on like RGB bad. And I'm just gonna quick point the remote at it, at the button. Oh no. So I'm just gonna point the remote at it and put the button, click the button to change it to blade. And it changes right away. Issue with this case is, so right now you can see the fans, I have them on yellow. It's not really focusing good, but yeah, they're on yellow. But then if I go over here, shut the PC down, I'm leaving it plugged in with the power supply turned on, so it should still have 5-volt standby power. We can see it shut off now. I go to turn the PC back on, and it's on RGB puke. That's not a huge deal again because you have the remote, but I don't know, it's kind of a pain. Just have to click it to whatever color you want every time. Alright, so this case is definitely pretty impressive, but doesn't make sense to buy. At the 52 bucks, well I guess it was 53, at the $52.99 I spent on it, it makes sense, but the pricing recently has gone up a bit, so let's take a look at what the pricing is now and what the alternatives are.
Okay. Right now on Amazon, this case is Right now on Amazon, this case is sitting at $64.99. Looking here at the price history, we can see right here when I bought it on July 8th, it was at $52.99. It was at that price again on July 10th and on July 19th. And then for a period here, it was in between 52 and 55 bucks pretty constantly. So this case will be pretty easy to get at this price if you just use like some sort of price tracker that gives you a notification whenever it drops down to, I'd say, below about 55 bucks is where I'd recommend purchasing this case. Looking for alternatives, the MSI Magforce 100M is in stock at Walmart right now for 50 bucks, and it looks like it has been in stock at that price for the last bit. Okay, so for I guess really the only other alternative I was able to find, this one, that mail-in rebate will probably be over by the time this video goes up, so, but the Antec DF600 Flux is in stock at Newegg right now for just $58.99 after the mail-in rebate. This mail-in rebate, you know, pretty similar, pretty simple. Fill in all that stuff, then you have to mail it, and like, I don't know. These are kind of a bit of a pain to do, but for just like under 60 bucks, this case is pretty great. So really, it's just the MSI Magforge, the 100M and the 100R are both pretty good cases. And then this Roswill would definitely be added to my list of cases to highly recommend at this price point. Those are kind of the three cases you should be looking at to get below that $60 mark. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.